Ever go to your doctor with a set of weird symptoms only to get the response, "We have no idea what's wrong with you"? Sadly, medical science can only move so fast, so many more of the niche conditions which afflict the human race often get shunted to the back of the queue when it comes to funding research. One of our entries today covers something almost everyone has experienced. Another condition sounds and smells rather nice, but some of the things in our list are just downright nasty. So let's take a look at the weird, wonderful, and woeful in our list of 7 unexplained human conditions. Number 7. Acquired Savant Syndrome. Savant Syndrome causes people with certain mental conditions such as autism or low IQ to develop astonishing abilities. These skills, along with the underlying mental disorder, are typically present from birth, and neuroscientists haven't yet discovered why these things seem to be linked. 10% of all autistic people are known to have some form of savant ability, but even more fascinating is a condition of acquired savant syndrome, where the same miraculous talent develops after a head trauma. But don't go bashing your head against a brick wall just yet, because these skills are often limited to abilities in art, math, music, memory, or spatial skills. An example of this is Tommy McHugh, who for 51 years was a career criminal until a brain hemorrhage turned him overnight into an amazing artist and poet. Similarly, Jason Padgett was repeatedly kicked in the head during a mugging, and he was suddenly able to understand and visualize complex mathematical formulas in the form of fractal shapes and geometric patterns. The current theory on how both acquired and non-acquired savants develop these skills involves the brain compensating for one area's loss of function by activating another unused portion. But right now, I can't help thinking that training montage in The Matrix would have been way cooler if Neo just had to bash his head against stuff to learn his skills. Hey Trinity, I just fell down the stairs. I know Kung Fu. Number 6. Spontaneous combustion. One of the saddest songs in rock and roll history is the Kings of Leon's Sex on Fire, where Caleb Followill performs a moving tribute to an ex-girlfriend who spontaneously combusted in the lotus position. Spontaneous combustion is no laughing matter though, and every year scores of people are randomly engulfed in flames with no ignition source or accelerants detected. The classical historian Pliny even mentions his experience of ancient Roman people doing human torch impressions. Yet we still haven't determined how these mysterious and devastating events take place. Interestingly, 2/3 of his victims are women, and these incidents tend to happen in the small hours of the morning. Walls surrounding the area are often covered in soot and burnt fat, but nothing aside from the person themselves seems burnt, and sometimes even their clothes remain unsinged. The logical explanation seems to be a failure by authorities to detect a cause, but this ignores the fact that the victims often burn to ashes extremely quickly, and as any crematorium workers or psychopaths know, humans are difficult to burn since we're 90% water. It can take 12 hours to fully burn most humans, and furthermore, many crime scene investigators have categorically stated that cases of spontaneous combustion bear no comparison whatsoever to any standard fire deaths they've ever seen before. Number 5. Exploding head syndrome. That was annoying, wasn't it? Now imagine if that happened to you almost every single day at random when you were just waking up. You know that GIF from Scanners that's used every time people want to illustrate that their mind has been blown? Well, ignore that, because although exploding head syndrome is pretty weird, it doesn't make your head burst. Instead, causing auditory hallucinations which make you believe that loud noises such as bombs, cymbal crashes, or car horns are going off in your head. These symptoms are usually brief, but the long-term psychological effects can be devastating. It is presently classified as a parasomnia, as exploding head syndrome usually occurs in those who are not fully awake, but sadly, that's where our knowledge ends, as there haven't yet been enough studies of the condition to provide a treatment. Number 4. Phantom limb syndrome. If you lose an arm or a leg, that's traumatic enough, but being haunted by that missing limb for the rest of your life is the icing on the world's most horrible cake. Around 60 to 80% of amputation victims suffer phantom sensations in their missing limb, and this condition isn't just limited to your arms and legs. Many breasts, teeth, eyes, and tongues have been felt by their previous owners after removal, and sufferers often describe them feeling painful, as if somehow distorted from their natural position. Strangely, this phenomenon has also been reported in those who were born without limbs. So whilst your brain's memory of old nerve sensations may explain the phantom pain experienced by amputation victims, it doesn't make sense why those who never had limbs would feel it too. Number 3. Synesthesia. Synesthesia is often thought as a condition which causes people to hear or smell colors, but actually, this strange neurobiological oddity is much more complex than that, and can involve any combination of sensory or cognitive experiences. Synesthesia can come in many different varieties, including the association of certain pains with colors, the attachment of personalities and genders to letters or numbers, and even the experience of individual tastes when certain words are heard or spoken. One of the most fascinating combinations is where people feel as if they're being touched on certain parts of their body when specific sounds are played. Admittedly, that sounds quite fun. Need a massage? Well, I'll just open up this MP3 playlist right here, and we'll put the happy ending noise somewhere randomly as a surprise. Around 4.4% of the world is believed to have synesthesia, and it is thought to be caused by an elevation of our senses' natural ability to interact and cross over. But as most synesthesic experiences are described as neutral or pleasant, there's been no great rush to study it. Number 2. Déjà vu. Déjà vu translates as quote-unquote already seen and describes humans feeling a strong sense of familiarity with a particular act or event. Some non-scientific explanations have linked this to dormant abilities within the brain to prophesize forthcoming events, but the non-whack jobs who've studied it firmly disagree. Some psychologists believe this to be a Western problem, blaming our increasingly sedate and repetitive existence. With many people taking the same route to work, sitting in the same cubicle all day, and going home to the same microwave meal and mechanical sex life, this seems a plausible explanation. But others disagree, pointing out that humans have always been a repetitive species, instead pointing towards neuroscience as a more likely source of answers. One scientific theory claims déjà vu is caused by a split-second delay in transferring information between different hemispheres of your brain, where the side that received it first processes the event twice, like a skip on a CD. However, the neutral folks from the neutral planet believe it is actually a combination of both, with fragments of repetitive memory combining with a memory glitch to create this sensation. I don't know which is true, but I do know that I get this feeling every time I listen to the Red Hot Chili Peppers. What, you think California is awesome? Well, I never. Number 1. Gluten intolerance. Bagels, toast, pasta, cookies, pastries, cakes. The list of things containing gluten is basically the Hollywood Walk of Fame of the world's most delicious things that are bad for you. Today, gluten intolerance seems prevalent across much of the Western world, but scientists and nutritionists aren't really sure why this is. The most serious case of gluten intolerance is celiac disease, yet this accounts for only a small portion of people. And many who avoid gluten do so without confirmation of their condition by a medical professional. Many doctors believe that whilst some people genuinely do have a slight reaction to the substance, most are simply overstating the effects of bloating and reading too many David Wolfe books. Avoiding gluten means losing out on a range of whole grains which contain essential vitamins and nutrients. But if modern wheats genuinely are affecting us, then one possible cause could be the modifications humans have made to wheat grains. Whilst not genetically modified, modern commercially used grain has been crossbred a lot in the last 50 years. But our stomachs may not have adapted quickly enough. It's also possible our overdependence on antibiotics may have damaged our digestive bacteria, causing it to attack the gluten as if it were a microbial invader. This is also believed to be the root cause of many other allergies, including peanuts and dairy. Interestingly, a clinical trial by gastroenterologist Jessica Bisikierski at Monash University found that most people with self-diagnosed gluten sensitivity actually benefit more from a reduction of FODMAPs, FODMAPs, which are fermentable, poorly absorbed short-chain carbohydrates also found in gluten-containing products. So whilst the exact cause of most people's sensitivity to this most delicious of foodstuffs isn't known, you can more accurately confirm your own level of gluten sensitivity by following these simple steps. Put David Wolfe's book into a blender with some lemon juice, cayenne pepper, and gasoline. Pour the mixture over David Wolfe's head, light him on fire, and then visit your doctor for an actual diagnosis. And if you enjoyed this list of unexplained human conditions, why not suckle on the teat of our recent video covering 7 strange medical treatments? Maybe one of these will fix your gluten intolerance. It can't be any dumber than anything the food babe says.